Welcome back, beautiful soul, to the Guri Show. I'm going to start with a little confession today. Well, obsessed with self knowledge. And like you, I have devoured the human design charts, the astrological deep dives, the Enneagram assessments, not so much Enneagram assessments, definitely human design and astrology and sunshines and rising and ascendant and stuff. And I have certainly spent hours on the couch with a attachment style book dissecting my attachment style. Now, these tools, these beautiful maps offer us such profound insight into our internal wiring. They are meant to be mirrors, helping us see ourselves with more compassion and clarity. But here is where I see these powerful tools become a subtle yet devastating block for soul led entrepreneurs. We start using the map as a cage. So, the limiting belief I hear echoing across the coaching space, often disguised as self awareness, is this that I can't do X because I am Y. I can't do large group launches because I'm a projector and I need to wait to be invited. I can handle confrontation or objection handling because I'm a highly sensitive F type on the Myers Briggs test. I'm an Aries, so I'm naturally aggressive and can't handle clients who move slow, so I must niche down to only fast moving manifestors. I've done it myself. I remember agonizing over a new business partnership because I felt their human design profile might clash with mine. When I was deep diving into these maps and these sciences, there came a moment when I was judging everything from the lens of what I learned from these beautiful expressions of science. And at the back of my mind, I kept thinking, well, maybe this person is not meant to be in my world. It was a beautiful excuse to stay comfortable and avoid the necessary growth that partnership required. But let's look at the consequence of that statement. Just because a label accurately describes your tendency doesn't mean it dictates your potential or limits your impact. When you use a label to avoid necessary action, you are essentially telling the universe, my identity is more important than the mission. And that, my love, is where true growth stops. What if we could move beyond the labels and tap into the universal spiritual attributes that actually create wealth and expansion regardless of your chart? True business growth, the kind that creates quantum leaps, isn't about being more of your type. It's about embodying principles that transcend the ego and the personal self. So, the first attribute we need to lean into is consciousness. Consciousness is a spiritual attribute that allows you to observe your labels rather than being run by them. So, when the old programming, let's say the fear of visibility, arises and the ego says, I'm an introvert, it's too draining, I can't do it. The shift involves consciousness stepping in and saying, ah, I observe the feeling of drainage. I observe the label introvert. I am not the feeling. I am the observer. The principle I'm serving is impact. Does this action serve the impact? Yes. Then I proceed, conscious of my energy, but not limited to my label. The consciousness means recognizing that your identity is a fluid state, not a fixed monument. Your purpose is not contained within your birth chart. It uses your birth chart as a vehicle. The second most potent spiritual attribute for massive business growth is detachment. When you are overly attached to your identity, say, I'm a coach, I'm a healer, I'm a manifesting generator, you become emotionally entangled in the outcome of your actions. You become attached to the launch going perfectly, the client staying forever, the sales page converting at 5%, the retreat being sold out, like back to back. But the most magnetic leaders I know, well, the famous ones these days, the Harmozis, the high level mentors like James Wedmore, they operate with a deep strategic detachment. They are committed to the mission, but detached from the methodology or the result. So the detachment says, I am going to pour my entire heart and all my strategic wisdom into this launch, and if it fails, I will use that data to make the next one better. My worth is not tied to the revenue. I'll give you a personal example. I once believed I couldn't coach high level sophisticated leaders and charge them premium price because of my personality didn't align with the price that I wanted to charge. And that was my self imposed label. When I finally chose detachment from the label, and from the fear of being seen as, unprofessional, not really unprofessional, but not a personality match, I realized my spiritual depth and emotional intelligence were the exact things they desperately needed. My detachment allowed me to fully step into my power without needing their validation. Okay, let's talk about the grounded strategy now. Okay, the spiritual attributes that truly expand your business are those tied to universal principles. Number one, principle of generosity, which is giving. And most people underestimate this principle. Your business needs to be run by the desire to give value, not the need to receive. When generosity is the ruling principle, sales feel less transactional and more like a transfer of power. Principle number two, the principle of truth or clarity. This means cutting through the noise and expressing your message with brutal, clear honesty. This transcends your communication style. For instance, whether you're a feeler or a thinker, and demands alignment. Truth generates trust, and the trust is the highest currency. Principle number three, principle of expansion or growth, the ultimate spiritual attribute. Your business is a container for your own expansion. So every time you set a bigger goal, hire a new team member, or host a retreat, or launch a course, you are forced to shed the identity that was too small for the container. Focus on embodying these principles, and your human design chart will simply become a tool to understand how you best execute the principles, not if you can execute them. Let me say that again. Focus on embodying these principles, and your human design chart or astrological birth chart will simply become a tool to understand how you best execute the principles, not if you can execute them. All right. This entire conversation is an invitation to greater freedom. You are not your chart. You are not your attachment style. You are the soul that chose to express itself through those mechanisms. Now, I want you to take a deep, grounding breath. One more time. And now, let's reflect. I want you to sit with these two questions today. Question number one, what identity label, astrological, personality, or otherwise, are you currently using to justify playing small or avoiding a necessary leap? Question number two, if you dropped that label and replaced it with the principle of maximum impact, what is the next strategic action you would take immediately? Breathe that in for a moment. Let the liberation of that thought settle in your cells. Okay, when we are doing this deep work of shedding identity and stepping into universal principles, it requires complete immersion. It requires a container that is fully detached from your current reality, where the old labels and old obligations cannot reach you. You need to step out of your known life to truly embody the person, the woman, the man who operates from consciousness and detachment. And that is precisely the intention behind the Bali Identity Upgrade Retreat coming this May. And this is your opportunity to spend 7 to 10 days. Yes, there are two options. You can start with a 7-day experience or extend it to an 11-day immersion, focused entirely on installing these high-level spiritual attributes into your foundation. We will be using my proven framework to deliberately shift the belief systems, influence your future self, and create the strategic impact that only the detached, conscious one can demand. We're going to dissolve the cages and clarify the principles. So, if you're ready to stop letting labels dictate your income and start using consciousness to command your expansion, then your next clear invite is to learn about this retreat. I only accept a small, intimate group, and spaces are limited. So, to get all the details, the curriculum, the location, the investment, depending on where you're watching or listening to this episode, I just want you to drop me a DM or comment the word principle, and I'm going to get back to you with the details. So, this is your strategic action step today. Okay, drop me the word principle or DM me the word principle, and let's talk about stepping beyond the self you know and into the self you are becoming. If this landed for you, I would love to hear it. Send me a message and tell me which label you are ready to drop today. Okay? Until next time, stay true, stay open, and stay in your soul's rhythm.